Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well, and it's time for our weekly track roundup, in the dark, of course, where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. And down there below in the description box, as is usual with each episode, are all the songs that I am talking about, so don't miss those links. Also down there in the description box is a link to our sponsor in this video, the good people over at SeatGeek. They are an app that aggregates tickets to live events from all over the web to make ticket buying simple. They put a 0 to 100 score on each ticket that you see, green being good, red being bad, to make sure that you get a good price. And their in-app view from Seat lets you see where you're going to be sitting. Use promo code DROP to get $20 off your first order. Again, you can see the link to that app down there in the description box. Also down there are our associate links with Amazon and Turntable Lab. The Turntable Lab one, if you get a pressing of a record I've reviewed on the channel, or a turntable, some speakers, some audiophile stuff, we get kickback from it, which is always nice. And also want to shout out Toto covering Weezer's Hash Pipe, responding in kind to Weezer covering their song Africa, which again was their first legit hit in a while. So shout out to them on that, I guess. Maybe this will be Toto's first hit in a long time too. So, all right, let's get into the worst tracks, least favorite tracks of the week. What were they? The worstest to worstest. First, this new song from the band Nothing. Didn't really care for it. The Carpenter's Son, just super bland, washed out, vaguely shoegazy indie rock without much in the way of personality or flavor. Next, we have this new song from Moors and Tune-Yards, Mango. Moors is, I guess, the rap alias of actor Lakeith Stanfield, who you might remember from Atlanta and a lot of other roles as well. And while what's going on here is pretty alternative, it's kind of ambitious that he be making such a bold transition from acting to, I guess, experimental kind of grimy underground rap music. I don't know. I haven't heard much else from the project. Maybe what I dislike about the song, that it's so garish and, I don't know, weird, but on a surface level. Maybe that can be partially or majorly attributed to the Tune-Yards inclusion here. All I know is I found the track kind of annoying. I appreciated kind of the fringe sounds it was going for, but I just thought it was kind of weak. And I guess I can't attribute all of it to Tune-Yards, because I thought some of the rapping, some of the vocal delivery coming from Stanfield was a little goofy, but I don't know. I guess some people are digging it, I guess. Moving on from there, didn't dig the new Matthew Deere singles at all. One was super ambient and drawn out to the point where it was not that intriguing. The other featured these horrid falsetto vocals that were just painfully awkward. New record on the way, though. I've enjoyed a lot of what Matthew Deere has done up until this point, but I don't know. I guess maybe we're in for a rough ride with this new record. That's all I can say. And then after that, not really digging the new J. Cole freestyle. I mean, look, I think the track starts off well. Good flow, some smart bars, a cool instrumental choice. But then once J. Cole starts like talking this utter nonsense about KOD being the album of the year and just like spitting all this completely preposterous stuff about like how amazing the music he's dropping is, it just kind of goes off the rails. Maybe this album of the year project he has coming up to kind of feed fans in between this and his next album release will be good, but I don't know. I don't think this freestyle was all that exciting. All right, let's get into the tracks I thought were meh. Weren't amazing, weren't awful either. Worth pointing out, worth getting your attention on. First, we have Quavo with 3 new singles he just dropped out of the blue. Each one of them more generic to the next than the next, rather. They all sound okay. They just kind of sound like a song he would have done with Migos, but he's just doing it by himself. Maybe they feel a little bit more preconceived than if he was just in the studio with, I guess, Offset and Takeoff and just kind of, riffing for 20 minutes and then just kind of slapping that together until it's a song. But I don't know. I don't really find anything spectacular about these 3 tracks. Again, they're listenable, but if you've heard what the Migos have been doing recently, what you're going to hear on these 3 tracks, it's not really that different. It just kind of feels like Quavo by himself. Pig Destroyer, new album on the way. One of the greatest bands in grind. The Torture Fields is the title of this new track. It's pretty heavy. It's kind of hard hitting, but honestly, for Pig Destroyer, it's pretty meat and potatoes. And the extremity of their best records is just not really here. I mean, I do get some of the blast beats. There are some kind of thrashy, cool riffs here and there. The bass is sludgy and grinding and nice, but I don't know. I just kind of had a hard time finding anything in this track that just really, truly stood out to me. Still looking forward to the new album, but again, felt pretty meat and potatoes and a little in the yellow, not quite as in the red as you expect a Pig Destroyer song to be. Moving on from there, Mustard, formerly DJ Mustard, has this new track out featuring Scott and YG. I think it's pretty cool that he brought a beat together that fit both YG and Travis's styles. I wouldn't say the rapping from either party is really spectacular on this cut, but it is a good vibe, and it does have a good energy. Mitski has a new record on the way that I've been looking forward to. This new single of hers, Two Slow Dancers, is a pretty heavy, chilly ballad, which isn't as bold as maybe I would have liked to have been, but it did have a really strong, passionate ending to it. And the lyrics are especially worth paying attention to, so I will give her that. But again, instrumentally and vocally, I just thought it was a little average and maybe nondescript in some respects, but still not a bad song, not a bad tune. Maybe just the delivery and the development of it sonically was, I don't know, just left more to be desired. LSD, Labrinth, Sia, Diplo. New song from them as they've been just dropping single after single after single after single. And I guess this is one of the more straightforward pop ballads that they have strung together so far. The vocals very passionate. The beat is bumping. The chord progression and some of the vocal lines are a little run-of-the-mill and predictable, as that descending chord progression that pops in on the hook and is very kind of dreary, tugs at your heartstrings, has been used to death. And I wouldn't necessarily say they put the most interesting spin on it, but still, it's a pretty sweet song. It's a pretty sweet song. Definitely not as gaudy as some of the other singles that they've dropped collectively so far. And next, Kanye has a new track out titled XTCY. Ecstasy, new random loose track, post-Ye track that he's dropped that has gathered so many headlines because he puts so many lines into this song where he's talking about how he wants to sleep with the rest of like the Kardashian Jenner clan. And then he kind of goes off about how taking ecstasy made him think this or do this or made him inspired to write this. And some of the vocals are kind of goofy. He really lays hard on those scoop-de-whoops at one point in the song, which when he does that, you kind of have to take what Kanye is doing with a grain of salt, because I feel like that's his little signal to his fans who kind of remember that random drop that he had where it was just nothing but scoop, scoop-de-whoop, scoop-de-poop-de-boop. I feel like that's a little bit of a signal that he's kind of trolling and fucking with you and just trying to get a rise out of you. But simultaneously, maybe this song is a signal that great music doesn't always come from drug use. Because if this is what Kanye does on Ecstasy, then maybe sobriety is the answer. Because instrumentally, it's pretty rough, not as impressive as Kanye's beats have been as of late. As simple as they have been, though. I feel like a lot of his recent production has felt simple but genius to me. Not to use the G word too much around Kanye. I know that gets him excited. But simple but smart. And this beat, however, just felt like a mess. Vocals felt like a mess. The lines mostly just felt really cringy and like Kanye was trying way too hard to get my attention. One of the few bars that kind of stuck out to me as being funny or interesting was that one bar about getting 100 on the drug test. But again, outside of that, it's interesting. It's kind of goofy. It's off the wall, but I don't know. It was just really kind of lacking something to actually make me want to return to it again, I guess. And Joey Purp is back. Nice. It's been a while since we've heard from Mr. Purp. This new song over here, March 12th, is a track where it seems like he's kind of waxing poetic about this relationship that he can't quite seem to, I don't know, commit to or act right in, and he's kind of blowing it. And the instrumental's cool. His flow is nice. I don't mind the topic, though I think after a while it grew a little stale, and the song kind of really lacked some kind of beat switch or hook or something to kind of break it up and just really make what he was pulling together here land. It just felt like a linear stream that slowly got more and more lukewarm as it kind of went on, unfortunately. Though it starts hot. Moving on from there, Gucci Mane and Little Pump kept back. Unfortunately, it's just all right. You know, not the fireworks we've heard from these guys before. And I don't know. At this point, I feel like Little Pump's just been kind of phoning it in a little bit. Not that he's shown himself to be a lyrical genius or anything before, but I feel like he's slowly kind of showing that he's not going to be developing his shtick much anytime soon. So most likely he's just going to, I don't know, probably fade as soon as his sound is replaced with something else, because I don't see him evolving. You know, I'm not seeing him evolve at all. Though it is kind of cool to hear him and Gucci trading bars pretty tightly on this track. You know, it's a cool structure. I'll say that much. And the production's not bad either. So, and let's get into the tracks I thought were the best tracks this week. Quite a few of those. Quite a few best tracks this week. Found a lot of tracks I thought were really good. So again, all these songs linked down there in the description box. First, Trench, 21 Pilots. Actually thought this song was really good. Thought some of the rapping was maybe like slightly corny, but the instrumental was killer. Like this super spacey psychedelic trap beat, but it felt totally them. You know, there were elements of pop and rock worked into that beat too that just really worked. On top of that, I thought the hook was great, and I at least like the flow of the rapping quite a bit. And while 21 Pilots in the past have hit me as being slightly cringy, this song to me didn't really read that way. I don't know. I just feel like I'm at a loss. I know there were a lot of people struggling out there because I threw it out there on Twitter saying, man, this 21 Pilots song sounds good. And everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And hey, listen, I'm just as confused as you are. Up until this point, I haven't really enjoyed much, if any, 21 Pilots. But I do literally enjoy this song, and I do legitimately think that the group, this new batch of singles, does sound a bit edgier and a bit darker and a bit more mature than they've been up until this point. So I don't know. I respect that. Moving on from there, Troye Sivan, very kind of pretty alternative R&B tune over here with some very creative production that's a little raw and rough around the edges and alternative, aesthetically lo-fi in some spots too. Troy's previous tracks I always felt were just maybe a little too sweet for my tooth. But this is a nice balance of beauty and I don't know, just a more interesting, rough and moody sounds and textures coming out of this song too. And the tune itself is great. His voice sounds awesome, as it has on previous records. But I'll say that this new track, Animal, it just sounds more organic and a little more human than his previous stuff. I'm digging it. I'm liking it. Moving on from there, Tkay, Australian rapper Tkay Maidza. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm pretty sure I am. I caught her saying it in an interview. Flexin is her new song over here. Banger alert, banger alert. Beat is fun. Lyrics are great. One Duckworth appears on the track too and does pretty well on it as well. Yeah, it's just a really fun song with a really quirky personality and some funny lyrics, and hoping to hear more from her in the future. I know she came out with a record a while ago. Killer Mike was featured on a track. It had some good standout songs on it, but I was kind of hoping for something from her in the future that was a bit bolder, a bit stronger, a bit more in your face, and Flexin is definitely it. Moving on from there, this new track over here is the latest from frickin' Soap&Skin, the Austrian singer who I've reviewed on the channel a few times before. This new song of hers titled Heal is a beautiful little art pop number with shimmering keyboards. It's very eerie. It's very spacious. And Soap&Skin, if you haven't heard her music before, she has an incredibly haunting, strange voice. And that is no less the case here. Just loving the new song. Loved much of what she's done up until this point. And in my opinion, she continues to be one of the most underrated, under-recognized artists out there. So hopefully more people kind of pick up onto this new record of hers because she's got some good stuff going on. Moving on from there, next one. Think About You. Ryan Hemsworth and Joji coming together on this new track over here. Yeah, while vocally Joji doesn't jump out at me because he is kind of going back into that subdued singing style that typically I find a little one note, but I do think some of his vocal harmonies on this track are actually beautiful. The lyrics are kind of haunting, and I will say that I do think Ryan Hemsworth, his production on this cut certainly makes the track more interesting and complements Joji's singing better than some of the more skeletal and basic beats that were on his big breakout EP. So overall, this track's a winner for me. It's a beautiful, like little weird alternative soul and R&B cut with a bit of pop in there too, with again wavy, strange, kind of psychedelic and surreal production. And again, for the context of the beat in the song, Joji's voice really works. So digging this song quite a bit. Moving on from there, Mick Jenkins is back with a new single, Bruce Banner. Definitely one of his hardest and more lyrical cuts in a while. Definitely not that patience testing, moody shit with very little in the way of flavor that his last album was kind of chock full with. Kind of hoping he goes back in this direction and experiments more with his sound and his beats on a new release at some point in the future. But again, this song over here, it's a banger. It's a hard hitter, and it's a thoughtful cut too. So digging on that. Next, Marissa Nadler, supremely haunting new ballad over here from the singer-songwriter, atmospheric, experimental indie folk artist, dark songstress extraordinaire. The title of the new track over here is Blue Vapor. I liked the slightly bolder direction that she took on her last album, instrumentally and vocally, and I feel like she's coming even more out of the shadows on this new track over here, as the vocals are just really upfront, in your face, personal. They're tangible. It's like she's standing 2 inches from your face and singing right in your face. And it's like, wow, it's you. You're here. This is you. You've spotlit yourself so beautifully, and your vocal performance is absolutely fucking haunting. Hair on the back of my neck standing up, if I had any, because I shave it off. But when I'm shaving the rest of my head, I don't take a razor on that shit. Give me a break. All right, next, Ken Mode, noise rock and metalcore and post-hardcore band. They are back. New album on the way. This new track over here, titled Not Soulmates, is as rough, wild, and savage as I typically expect the band to be, enjoy the band to be. Great riffs, great drumming, great energy. No issues with this track, just kind of loving the shit out of it. It's hard and heavy. Moving on from there, Horrendous, this metal band that I have just come across. Just sort of, looking up new tracks across the internet. They're kind of a mix of experimental metal and progressive metal, but there are some supremely savage elements to their sound that feel really raw and just a nice human touch to what they're doing, mostly coming from the kind of slinky bass, which has an excellent tone and really sticks out in the mix. On top of that, the vocals have a very unique delivery style to them. It's not weird and annoying or any fucking thing like that, but it's not your typical standard, generic metalcore or death metal or black metal vocal where you can't even pick the fucking guy out of a lineup. Like, this is a monstrous, angry, and very, very human, but like total psychopath lead vocal is how I'll put it. And instrumentally, again, kind of going back to that progressive tag that I mentioned with this previously, there are a lot of great different guitar passages worked throughout this thing. A lot of instrumental changes too that kind of keep things intriguing, keep me on the edge of my seat with it. So it's a very smart, very aggressive, and exciting track over here. And again, if I didn't say the title of the song, which I don't think I did, The Idolater is the title of this one. Moving on from there, High on Fire has a new track out, new record on the way, Electric Messiah. And it's the title track. Seems like High on Fire, and not that these are new influences for the band or anything, but seems like they're going a little bit more into a thrash direction on this new track over here. And of course, the heavy sludge sound is there too. Seems like a little bit of Motorhead influence in there as well, which again, nothing totally new for High on Fire. Just kind of seemed like the track hit a really good, exciting, fun click. I'll say clip because I don't know why I mixed those two words up with that idiom, but hit a really fun, fast clip and had a great energy to it. Not quite as slow and I guess as lumbering as some tracks from their recent records. So really digging it. Really digging it. It's a fun, fast cut. And Good Gas, which is the new single from FKI First, rapper, producer, DJ, who basically strung together this track and beat for 2 Chainz and A AP Ferg. And it's a fantastic fucking song. Like, 2 Chainz and Ferg, their deliveries on this track, I don't know who sort of led who into what direction, but like 2 Chainz is growling all over this song. Like, this is one of his hardest and most insane features, period. Not only in terms of just the sound of his voice, but his lyrics are fucking hilarious. Like, this is, based on a true story era 2 Chainz in terms of just like the sense of humor. And A AP Ferg totally follows suit with an equally interesting flow, and like he's growling all over the track too. It's like he didn't, again, depending on who brought their verse first, but it seemed like one did not want to be outdone in terms of the other, by the other, in terms of just like sounding overly aggressive and hilarious. So moving on from there, DRAM has a new EP out. If you did not know, I mentioned it on the show, although I need to write myself a reminder to do a little review of this EP. DRAM EP review. And he just came out with a new track from it, or rather just kind of separated a track out of it and dropped an amazing music video for it. It's titled Best Hugs. Don't miss it. It's one of his best songs, one of his best ballads, and definitely one of his most playful and tongue-in-cheek as well. Love DRAM. Love the guy. And Behemoth has a new single out, which I did not mention in the last weekly track roundup, which is titled God Equals Dog. And it's a nice, heavy, blasphemous black metal banger with some interesting guitar riffs, an amazing like child chorus toward the end of the song. It's actually pretty devilish. Maybe instrumentally it's not as over the top as some of the cuts that were on the Satanist a little while back, but it is actually really fantastic, pretty powerful. And looking forward to kind of hearing this track grow on me a little bit as we near closer to this new Behemoth album release. And that has been the weekly track roundup, but actually not quite, as I also wanted to shout out this new Aphex Twin song. And Mr. Richard D. James also has an EP out, which had just dropped. But the song and music video that he just recently released is titled T69 Collapse, and it is a fucking amazing track. Holy fucking shit. One of the best songs Richard has come out with in a long time. The amount of detail in this beat is mind-bending. It's like he really takes the whole IDM thing to the next fucking level. And some of the beat switches in this track too, like around the midpoint, where these warp dark synthesizers pop in out of nowhere. And throughout the whole thing, the percussion is insane. So listen, I can't say enough nice things about this track. It's fucking awesome. This track is fucking awesome. Easily one of the best singles of the year. So don't miss this track. It's absolutely insane. And a review of this EP very soon. So, all right, cool. I'm going to leave it at that. You guys are the best. Again, all the songs that I talked about linked down there below. And you can find that again along with the Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links. And shout out once again to the good people over at SeatGeek who sponsored this video. Love you, love you, love you. Anthony Fantano. Music, music, music. Weekly track roundup forever.